10 absolutely massive UFC fights that we all need to see. The obvious choice is going to be Jon Jones, Tom Aspinall. We need Jon Jones to stop fighting guys that can't wrestle. Ciryl Gane. We need him to stop fighting guys that are in their 40s. Stipe Miocic. We need him to fight somebody that's actually in their prime. Otherwise, his legacy in the heavyweight division is really not that good. I'm going to be straight honest with you. If he beats Aspinall, I legitimately think that cements him as the number 1 or number 2 heavyweight of all time. It's either Stipe or Jon Jones if he goes out there and beats Tom Aspinall. Ladies and gentlemen, we need this fight. But we got 9 other big, massive UFC fights that we need to see probably this year. Like, I'm going to be honest, all of these fights I think can realistically happen by the end of 2025. Let's go to number 2 on our list. Ilia Topuria versus Islam Makhachev. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I am of the belief that Ilia Topuria should move up to lightweight, fight Islam, win or lose, and vacate featherweight. That is my opinion. I do believe he should go up to lightweight and vacate his featherweight belt after he fights Islam. So he can have the simultaneous double championship if he's able to go out there and beat Islam. Either way, vacate featherweight after and have, the contenders. You got the Movsars, you got the Aljamains, you got the Diego Lopez, you got the Volkanovskis that could all fight over the featherweight belt. But I legitimately do believe, now that they said Arman Tsarukyan is not going to be fighting for the belt, do Arman versus somebody else, get him another win, get him another finish. He wasn't able to go out there and finish Charles Oliveira. It's a split decision. Let's get a highlight on the reel for Arman. Let's do Charles versus somebody else. Let's build those lightweight contenders and do Ilia versus Islam. Massive fight. And you do Jon Jones, Tom Aspinall for International Fight Week. And you do Islam Makhachev, Ilia Topuria for a week, or the pay-per-view before that. UFC 316 is Islam versus Ilia. Now, we move on. We already have 2 massive champ versus champ matchups between Jon Jones, Tom Aspinall, between Ilia and Islam Makhachev, who I believe are the number 1 and number 2 pound-for-pound fighters currently fighting in the UFC, just like Volkanovski Islam. But this one, there's more of a sense that Ilia can actually pull it off. With Volkanovski, you're like, he's not going to knock out Islam. There's a lot of fear. There's a lot of fear that he could definitely go out there and knock out Islam. He's got the better takedown defense. He's got the good grappling and the better striking than Islam. That's a fight we all want to see. And we got another champ versus champ fight. Now, this is not what I want next. The title, huge fights we all need in 2025, but not next. I'm fully fine with Weili Zhang versus Valentina Shevchenko as, a December pay-per-view. Final pay-per-view of the year. I'm fully fine with this main eventing UFC pay-per-view in December in the T-Mobile Arena. Totally okay with that. But we need Valentina versus Manon Fiorot. We need that fight. We need Valentina versus Manon Fiorot, however you want to say it. And, Weili Zhang, we don't necessarily need her to fight any of the other contenders, but we need Valentina to fight Manon Fiorot. In the meantime, Weili can fight the winner of Yan Xiaonan, Virna Jandiroba, and really cement herself as the number 1 strawweight of all time. Because the UFC is telling Weili, if she moves up to the UFC flyweight division, she can't move back down. So she needs one more win. She's tied with Joanna Jędrzejczyk at 6 title shots or title wins apiece. She needs one more to really pull herself ahead and cement herself as the greatest strawweight of all time. So let's do Weili versus Virna Jandiroba. She wins that fight. Valentina Shevchenko, Manon Fiorot. Valentina wins that. You do Valentina, Weili Zhang in December. Give them both a good break, and they'll fight. And let's say Manon Fiorot wins. Ladies and gentlemen, we have 2 massive countries with champions. We got French MMA with a champion. We got Weili Zhang, China, women's champion. In that case, you could go to China, you could go to France, you could main event a France card, main event a China card. There's options there. With Valentina, I mean, she's a legend, yes, but imagine Manon beats Valentina, undefeated in the UFC, big, massive name for French MMA. Her versus Weili is a massive fight. Valentina Weili is a massive fight. Either way, December, pay-per-view, or in France, or in China, or in Kyrgyzstan. We'll see about that. We'll see about that. But champ versus champ, that's what I got. 3 matchups in a row where we're going champ versus champ. You thought I was done with just 3? You thought I was done with just 3? No. We got Merab Dvalishvili, Alexandre Pantoja. Now, here's what I want. Again, just like Valentina Weili, not next. Not next. I want Pantoja versus Kai Kara France. I want that on the Miami card, UFC 314. I want Pantoja to win that fight because he's going to win that fight. And then I want Merab Dvalishvili versus Petr Yan rematch. I want Sugar Sean O'Malley to fight somebody else. I want Umar to fight somebody else. Clear out. Let's actually get a legit contender for Merab to fight. Let's have Pantoja beat Kai, and then have the flyweight division figure out an actual contender for Pantoja to fight. And again, April, Pantoja Kai. May, Merab versus Petr Yan. You do it on the Canada card. Or you do the co-main event for UFC 316. Islam, Ilya, Merab, Petr Yan. Stacked pay-per-view. You do that. That's April and May. And you do May, June, July, August, September, October. You do a September, October, Merab, Alexandre Pantoja, pay-per-view main event. Ladies and gentlemen, that's 4 champ versus champ fights in a row. Now, we got one that's not a champ versus champ fight. It's just an obvious fight that needs to be on the list, okay? I can't make a list of 10 massive fights the UFC needs to make and that we need to see without having Khamzat Chimaev on the list. Come on. I'm not crazy. The build up to this fight is amazing. The fight itself is also amazing because Dricus has good wrestling, good grappling, and great cardio. Chimaev has good wrestling and grappling, and bad cardio, and power in his hands. Dricus has great kicks. It's just such an exciting fight versus a guy that's undefeated in the UFC, versus a guy that's undefeated in his MMA career. Both forces of nature at 185 pounds. I don't know when. Because I've already said 314, you can do Pantoja, Merab. 315, you can do like Bilal. You can do Merab versus Petr Yan. 316, you can do Islam. 317, you got Jones. 318, I guess. That'd be July. February, March, April, May, June, July. 5 months. 5 months sounds about right. Let's do July, UFC 318. Khamzat Chimaev, Dricus du Plessis. Ladies and gentlemen, banger. We go on. Again, champ versus champ. We got 4 massive fights. We got undefeated versus undefeated in the UFC. Absolutely massive fight in the middleweight division. Then we got a non-championship fight, but a BMF title fight. Not a championship fight, but a BMF title fight. Again, Ilya versus Islam is my plan. Okay? Ilya versus Islam is the plan. I want that to happen. And the only way that happens is if Charles fights somebody else, and if Arman Tsarukyan fights someone else. So you can do Arman versus Mateusz Gamrot rematch. You can do Arman versus the winner of Justin Gaethje, Dan Hooker. Any of that works fine for me. And then you could do Max Holloway versus Charles do Bronx Oliveira. And you BMF title this Schnikes again in July, in August. You can do what did I just say? Dricus du Plessis, Khamzat Chimaev, main event, co-main event, Charles Oliveira. versus Max Holloway. Tell me you wouldn't get hyped. Tell me you guys wouldn't get hyped for that. All right? Tell me you would not get hyped for that. And, you know, it's a banger. It's a banger. It's a BMF title fight. Former lightweight champ, former featherweight champ. It's a rematch from their fight many, many years ago that ended in an injury. Let's do it. Let's do it. Holloway wants to move up. He wanted to return in June around International Fight Week. You could. John Jones, Tom Aspinall. You could also do that. Chimaev versus Dricus on their same card, and do Holloway versus Charles Oliveira as the co-main event. John Jones, Tom Aspinall, Holloway versus Charles Oliveira. Ooh. Huh. That's what we got so far. This is a former champ versus a former champ. The only guy that's not a champ or a former champion is Chimaev so far. These are big, freaking massive fights. Next. Ooh. Banger. Bangers. All I gotta say. I was saying do the winner of Gaethje and Dan Hooker versus Arman Tsarukyan. I'm just giving out a suggestion there. It's not what I actually want. Let's find these UFC rankings. What I want in these UFC lightweight division rankings, again, Islam versus Ilya, Charles versus Holloway, Arman versus Gamrot. I'm totally fine with Arman versus Gamrot. And then Gaethje, win or lose against Dan Hooker. Him, Gaethje, Poirier, Trilogy, Lafayette, Louisiana, retirement fight. That's what we do. Again, Oliveira, Holloway. Arman Tsarukyan, Mateusz Gamrot. Again, why are we giving Gamrot a step up? Because Gamrot's the only guy that's beaten Arman Tsarukyan besides Islam. Let's do that. Charles versus Holloway. Gaethje fighting Dan Hooker. Win or lose, Gaethje versus Poirier. If Holloway wins, you can do that, and you can do Holloway versus Tsarukyan, and then Gaethje versus Poirier. But there's so much stuff that can be done here. So much massive fights to be made. And this is one of them. They just fought for the BMF belt like a year ago, 2 years ago, whatever. Two former title challengers. Two of some of the greatest to never win a belt. Poirier's fought for the belt 3 times. Gaethje's fought for the belt twice. And you do a trilogy, retirement fight, massive fight, an absolute banger as well. This is the way for Poirier to go out. Who else? He's asking for legends. Is he going to get Oliveira? No, I want Oliveira Holloway. Are they going to do Holloway versus Poirier again when Poirier's already beat him twice? I don't think so. Are they going to do the Chandler rematch? No. Are they going to do any of these up-and-comers? Probably not. So Gaethje, Poirier, makes a lot of sense. We move on! I used the oldest photos I could find of Sean O'Malley and Petr Yan because I'm lazy, but this is what I got. Now, I've been saying Petr Yan, Merab Dvalishvili, Petr deserves it now. Petr deserves that title shot. Sean O'Malley is coming back from injury. I don't think he should come back immediately. And if he comes back immediately, all there is for him is Umar, which I am totally fine with Umar versus Sean O'Malley in the Bantamweight division. Totally fine with number 1 versus number 3. Totally fine with that. But Umar is he's out till June. That's 1. And number 2, I think O'Malley would rather say no to Umar and just be like, yeah, I want to run it back with Yan because it's a much easier stylistic matchup for Sugar Sean O'Malley. I want Umar Nurmagomedov to fight Davison Figueiredo. I want Corey Sandhagen to fight the winner of Henry Cejudo and Song Yadong, if it is Henry Cejudo. I want him versus Mario Bautista if the winner is Song Yadong. You know, again, I don't know if this is all computing with you guys because I'm just saying it. I don't actually have it shown out and mapped out and everything. But here's how Bantamweight should go. Merab versus Petr Yan. If he wins that one, Merab versus Pantoja. After Merab beats Petr Yan, you do Petr Yan, Sugar Sean O'Malley. Like I'm saying right here, absolutely massive fight. You do Umar versus Davison Figueiredo to get Davison back in a win, to get Umar back in a win. You do Corey versus Henry Cejudo if Henry wins. If Henry does not win, you do Corey versus a Mario Bautista versus a Jose Aldo. Something like that. You got options there. That's kind of my plan. Marlon Vera, just fight someone lower. Fight a Ayman Sahabi, a Marcus Mejia-Monta, a Mario. Fight an up-and-comer. But that's kind of what I'm thinking for Bantamweight. I want this fight, even if it doesn't happen this year. Most of these fights, I think, are very, very realistic for this year. If Merab fights, Pantoja first, do this. Number 1 versus number 2, winner fights for the belt. If he fights Petr Yan first, I think he beats Petr again, and I'd still be hyped for a Petr Yan Sugar Sean O'Malley matchup, like legitimately. So let's do it. And then we have Volkanovski, Diego Lopez. Yeah. I know this is gonna ruffle some feathers. I know for sure it's gonna ruffle some feathers because everyone Volkanovski deserves a title shot. No, he does not. He's on a 3-fight losing streak. Just got flatline knocked out by Ilya. Flatline knocked out by Islam. I don't think Volkanovski deserves anything right now. Holloway's moving up. Movzar, he's in contention. He's the number 3 here. But I think Diego Lopez, Volkanovski, for the interim belts, while Ilya moves up. I think you do this for the interim belt while Ilya moves up. Because if Ilya moves up, I don't think he's going to come back down. And I think you do him versus Islam. Maybe Diego knocks out Volkanovski. Cool. Ilya decides, a fight with Charles Oliveira interests me more than Diego Lopez. So he's going to stay up at lightweight, and you promote Diego Lopez to undisputed champion of the UFC featherweight division. Diego Volkanovski, interim title, Ilya moves up. Winner fights Movzar Evloev. Winner fights Movzar Evloev. That's my plan. We do this one in April, and then winner fights Movzar in July, August. For the actual belt. Well, Ilya becomes a lightweight. Next one. Now. No. Don't click off. Don't click off the video. Chillax. This is a really massive fight. Okay? This is a very, 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 very massive fight. And a serious fight as well. Shamil Gaziev is now a top 15 UFC heavyweight in the world. He's at number 11, about to crack into that top 10. But I don't want to see him versus Tuivasa or Lewis or any of these guys. I don't want him to get fraud checked just yet. So let's give him like a close matchup versus another up-and-comer. And, let's see if Shamil is actually ready for the top 10. He beat Thomas Peterson, but that's not really a test. This guy right here, this guy. Robert Tellez is one of the best. Never mind. He's an okay MMA fighter. All right, I don't want to get too hasty there. He's got good volume. He's got good cardio. He throws some spinning kicks every now and then. He likes to throw the fake flying knee into a roundhouse kick in the air. He loves that. He likes the spinning kick to the body. He likes his jab. He likes his southpaw. He likes to mix in a takedown every now and then let you right back up because he's a dumbass. But yeah, I legitimately think this is next for Shamil Gaziev. I don't think him versus Derek Lewis goes well. I think he gets knocked out by Derek Lewis. But if you want a guy that doesn't really have a lot of power, doesn't have a lot of finishing ability, hasn't gotten a single finish in his mixed martial arts career, you go with the Robert Tellez matchup. And, he's got 2 knockouts in boxing. Like, that's okay. But in terms of MMA, this dude can't hurt a fly. This guy can't hurt a fly. So let's do it. That's what I got for you guys. Those are the matchups that we need to see in the UFC. Volk, Diego Lopez, Robert Tellez taking on Shamil Gaziev, Sean O'Malley, Petr Yan rematch, Gaethje versus Poirier trilogy. Max Holloway, Charles Do Bronx, Shimaev versus Dricus. Merab versus Pantoja. Valentino Whaley. Ilya versus Islam. And Jon Jones. If this dude walks into a room with anybody, he walks out that room and you don't walk out that. He's the greatest of all time. He's the greatest of all time. Jon Jones is the greatest of all time. He's pound for pound number 1. He's number 2, but he's actually number 3 on my list. He's like way lower on my list. I forgot. My list for pound has Islam 1, Ilya Topuria 2. I think I got Merab 3. Don't get mad at me. I think I got Merab 3. Tell me Merab doesn't beat Jon Jones. Tell me Merab doesn't beat Alex Pereira. He doesn't beat Dricus. Tell me Merab doesn't beat Bilal, Aspinall, Panto. Merab is number 3. They got Merab number 3. Jones probably number 4. Dricus 5. Alex Pereira 6. Aspinall somewhere in there. Pantoja next. Then Bilal. Then Volkanovski. But yeah, I mean, Jon Jones is like 4 for me. 4 or 5. But yeah, that's what I got. Thank you guys for watching. Like, we'll see you in the next. Robert Chiles is pound for pound number 1. The great